Hey guys, I wanted to walk you through one of these projects that has gotten a lot of eyeballs on it. Many of you guys love the rainbow brick road and the segmented concrete to the main entrance. It's been one of my more popular projects in general, and I think it's a small space. There's a lot of detail, and it's been about 5 to 7 years since we've installed it. So I want to walk through the different things I'm noticing that need to be maybe tightened up over time. So this is more of a maintenance, or hey, I did my landscape many years ago and it's getting away from me. How do I make sure that my investment doesn't run away? When we first started this project, the entrance stairs were completely falling apart and there wasn't a lot going on in the yard. So we re-poured these. We did a top cast finish, which gives it that sand look. It's a little rough. One thing I will say is the color has faded significantly over the last 7 years. The color of concrete will fade over time if it's exposed to sun. And you can also seal it to help keep that color and darken it over time. But this has faded a little bit more than I'd probably prefer. This was the original color, almost a black. It was a dark charcoal. This is 808 from Davis Colors, and it's still a nice, beautiful gray, and it's faded evenly, so I don't really mind that. These stepping stones here, this was a lot of work to form, especially at the 45-degree angle. It uses more wood than, say, if we just did something square or a simple entrance, but I think it's really dynamic and I really love it. One thing that I will note is that we have this dichondra going through here. We used a different plant initially. This is an interesting yard because we have shade for a good part of the year, and then in the summer it's full sun. So you need a very versatile plant. We found that the dichondra was a great plant for that. However, there's a little misconception with the landscape maintenance team, and they ended up pulling all this out thinking it was a weed. So she called me back to see if we could help get it going again. We'll be doing that in the next week or so. The other thing that happened is what was left that grew back started dying back later. And I was like, well, is it getting irrigated? And she's like, yes. And we went and checked the timer. Somebody had unplugged the whole timer, and so nothing was being irrigated. And that's another reason why it's completely dead over here. So turning the irrigation back on, and we're gonna reseed it and hand water it to get it going again. We could go ahead and get flats and replant it, but that's a lot more expensive than just throwing seed. As you can see, after the irrigation was turned back on, some of the plants are coming back. So we're just gonna seed it, water it, and it should fill right back in. The brick mosaic path here, this is actually held up extremely well, but you can see that the DG has settled quite a bit in some of these areas, maybe half an inch to an inch in some areas. So we're gonna go ahead and re-sweep decomposed granite. But honestly, after 5 to 7 years, it's really low maintenance if you only have to do this every once in a while. And again, one of the key parts of this is having this brick edging be in concrete. In fact, you can see that concrete that's holding this brick in, and that's what's holding this whole puzzle piece together on both sides. So that's another thing we can talk about here. We are lacking mulch in certain areas. I'm not totally surprised. It's by the area where the drain is, because that's where water collects and moves things around. The rest of the garden actually looks pretty good. Some things have gotten really big. I actually don't mind it though. We have our phormium here. They've gotten quite tall. This is about maxed out. That's about as tall as they'll get. And you can see they've been trimmed out from the bottom. I think we keep these plants and they're great. This Fucria has also gotten really big. So initially they were all pretty spread out, and I'll show you a before image of that. And now they're gotten quite large, but I still think there's plenty of space. It doesn't feel too crowded, but over time, this might get too big for the space. We got about 7 years out of this plant, and honestly, I would say maybe take it to 10, and then it's probably too big. Maybe it'll fruit and you can take a pup, or maybe you just replace this plant. These guys here, these Dianellas, they're in pretty good shape, just minor cleaning up here and there, but they're looking good for their age. And then we have the strawberry ground cover that has kind of filled in quite a bit over here. I think that looks good. I would probably leave that for the most part. Here we have some, honestly, I don't remember what grasses they were. They'll probably flush back and look good, but they do look a little random. So I'll TBD on that. We might keep those, maybe not. Now this side, now this is another story. So I probably should have warned her to not put mint in her garden, but it is here and it's everywhere now. It smells amazing, but there's kind of the 101 on mint is never put it in your garden because it will go everywhere. It's quite invasive in the garden space. It doesn't necessarily look bad, but it looks a little weedy. So I'm gonna suggest when we come here that we'll just kind of pull out the mint. I know it's gonna come back, but something that can just kind of be brought back and forth. Again, the grasses, they've been cut down, they're greening up there, so they're gonna flush back. And I do remember what they are. They are I wanna say they're like a Mendocino grass. I'll look it it up and I'll tell you what it is here, but they're not looking their best now, but these are gonna pop back and look great. We got more mint here, and we also have some oregano. So planting herbs in your garden is not the end of the world, but you wanna be careful with certain varieties like mint. They're just gonna spread everywhere. But my general note for this area, it looks a little random, it looks a little chaotic, and I think it could do with a good cleaning and then redefining a few plants to take over again. So that's what I would suggest for this space. Also, isn't it interesting that that phormium is a lot smaller than these guys? And that could just be from sun exposure and preferences. These get a little bit more shade, that gets blasted with sun, which is almost opposite thinking, but phormium maybe like a little more shade. All right, so on this side, we have a little Bermuda grass right here. Luckily, it's just in one spot. This is easy enough to pull and get rid of. You could dig it out totally. You could kill it with chemicals if you prefer. But this is the type of weed that will take over your yard. So you definitely want to get on top of it. There was a plant here. I told her just to take it out because it'd be too hard to kind of separate them. So we'll be pulling that out totally. This is what I'm mostly scared of. This is nutsedge, and I don't know where it came from. She did not have nutsedge before, but nutsedge is one of those plants that is really hard to get rid of because even if you pull all these up, they have these tubers in the soil and they'll just sprout back up, and they have all the energy in these tubers that they'll just keep sprouting back up. So I told her that this area, we should just completely pull the soil out, like maybe a foot. I'm gonna see what level that these tubers maybe are at, and I just want to get rid of the soil, take it to the dump, don't donate it anywhere, and that's going to help solve this problem because as you can see, they're just spreading everywhere. And what my suspicion is when these tea trees were planted, these weren't planted by us, maybe they came through with maybe a tuber or two came through, and over a few years they've just spread here. Luckily, it's just localized to this area, which makes me want to make sure that we take care of it. As you can see on this side, we really don't have the same problem. So that's just something to know. I actually like how full the plants are in here in general. These have gotten quite large, but I think they look like big bouquets. Eventually it might get too big, it will shoot a flower. My guesstimate is 2 years. I have no idea really. And that actually might look really beautiful for a while, and then it's gonna die, and then you cut its head off, and these guys behind it are just gonna take over. So that's easy maintenance here. The succulent bowls, they're starting to look a little Medusa-y, like all these like snake heads kind of thing. Honestly, this I would probably just empty out, take a few of these cuttings. You just pop these off. You can cut them, let them dry out a day or so, and then you can pop them back into the soil and reorganize them a little bit more interesting. That would be the best way to deal with this. They don't look terrible, but they're really random right now. So I would like to tighten that up a little bit. Let's see, I think that's most of the maintenance and stuff here. For the most part, I think the garden looks good. It's just a handful of things that you want to like control every once in a while. And otherwise, it looks pretty good. Again, if she wanted to stain or seal the concrete, she could do that. That's just a personal choice. I asked her, she said she's fine with how it's changed. So I'm like, great, we'll leave it as is. But this is just kind of to give you a scope on like what a yard looks like after an installation. Oh, I do want to point out this. This was added after the fact. I don't remember what it was, but there was something that blocked us from being able to put this water basin all the way in the soil. But technically, to do this correctly, this water basin is usually in the ground level. Because we couldn't do that and there was something obstructing it in the soil, we just put it a little bit higher. It's halfway dig in, halfway out. And we put the Mexican beach pebble here. I'm just gonna buy some more beach pebble to hide the edges, make it look more like a mound. I actually don't mind that it's mounded, but just pointing that out there. All right, so that pretty much wraps up this video. Just a little touch base on some of the items in this yard and maybe what to look out for if you've had your yard done professionally a few years ago. It's good every once in a while just to do a cleanup. Maybe you do it yourself, or maybe you bring back your landscaper or maintenance person that knows what they're doing to kind of redefine the yard so you don't lose it. Because it costs a lot to do landscaping. And it's just natural that over 5, 7, 10 years, things are gonna get a little loose and you need to kind of tighten it up and redefine it. So we're at that spot. I'm happy with this yard, but just want to tighten it up a little bit. Let me know if you have questions, comments, disagree with anything, drop it in the comments. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.